Hello and welcome to Alan History Nerd. This video is going to look at the importance of incumbency on a president seeking a second term. Obviously a really important topical subject with the election coming up in November. This video is part of my A-level politics playlist and also my US politics playlist. I am aiming to get through the entirety of the A-level spec. Hopefully this will be helpful for you and give you some insight in what may or may not happen coming in the upcoming election. Incumbency is when the person who holds office is running for re-election, and in this case we're looking at incumbent presidency. So a president running for a second term, known as an incumbent, has a remarkably high level of success. So 69% in fact is the win rate in the last 32 elections, presidential elections involving an incumbent. And this incredible success rate has continued. So 7 out of the last 10 incumbents have achieved re-election. The 3 that have failed have been Ford, and we can see this might well be down to the particular circumstances with Ford. He was vice president who took over from the disgraced Nixon and then pardoned the disgraced Nixon. So this might be something that bucks the trend because of the particular circumstances. And then we've also seen losses for Carter and Bush Sr. Again, both facing successful and attractive challengers, and both having their own particular problems in the run-up to the elections as well. All 3 of the last 3 incumbents have been re-elected, so that's Bill Clinton, George Bush Jr. and Obama. Now Trump is behind in the polls, but history does very much appear to be on his side. Why are incumbents so successful? Well, they can use their powers as presidents to their advantage. So they can bring benefits to key voting groups or swing states. So we see this with Obama bringing a great deal of appeal to the Hispanic vote with policies on immigration, the appointment of the first Hispanic Supreme Court judge in Sonia Sotomayor, and presidents can also make popular moves in policy. So again, we could see this with Obama with the withdrawal of troops from Afghanistan. So as a president, you can pump money into swing states, you can bring in key policy areas that will gain you the support of particular key voting groups, and you can time a tax cut or some extra spending or a popular policy to fit in with the time that you're running into an election. Well, Trump has been rather limited in this area with the COVID crisis, but has certainly tried to appeal to his voter base over things like law and order, and he's done his best to point to foreign policy successes, for example, in the Middle East. So he also talks like everything is a wonderful success all the time. Whether everyone believes that or not is again a matter of their opinion on him, really. Another reason why incumbents tend to be so successful is name recognition and the media. So presidents will always attract media attention, that every word will be reported, giving them an advantage. So whilst a challenger does everything, is desperately trying to gain some kind of attention from the media, the president just has it automatically. And now Trump has been actually accused of trying to make a kind of unfair use of this, and he's been accused of using some of his addresses in the Rose Garden as actually unadulterated, very clear campaign broadcasts, where rather than actually addressing issues and policies he's bringing in, he's just launching into sweeping attacks on Biden and Harris. Now, name recognition overall is absolutely key in US elections, and the president will always hold an advantage in this because they are going to be a household name. Again, this maybe is lessened if the opponent is as well. Other reasons why they're so successful is electoral experience and resources. So they have won, and therefore they know what it takes to win. And they've also got a campaign team, a successful campaign team ready to go. Now, presidents almost always outspend their opponents, and because of the history of success, they tend to attract financial backers, making this possible, and again leading to effective and expensive campaigning. They also lack a primary challenge in most cases. So incumbents avoid the rather bruising experience of the primary season, and this helps avoid party infighting and sets up for a smoother campaign. So the challenger is always going to, having gone through the scrap to get to that position, will always have had damaging attacks made on them from people within their own party, and this automatically will give the incumbent a launch pad on which to attack them. Trump, you can argue, again, is fairly unusual because he appears to never really have stopped campaigning. I mean, he has this great love of holding his mass rallies, which were temporarily kind of put on hold by the COVID crisis, but are back again now, quite controversially, but they are back. And so we see this idea of Trump. He's on the campaign trail and has been on the campaign trail, arguably, from the time that he was elected. So they do also face problems, incumbents. So if things are going wrong, then it's very difficult for the president to avoid the blame. So Obama got the blame for failure to pass healthcare reform. George Bush Sr. got blames over the economy, particularly over his failure to stick to his very famous or infamous promise of no, watch my lips, no new taxes, and then there were new taxes, and he was punished. I mean, and didn't win re-election. Now, will Trump get punished for the events over the last couple of years? Will he be punished for failures in the reaction to COVID-19 and the incredibly high number of deaths in the USA? Will events such as the murder of George Ford and the protests that followed, will they damage him? And therefore, again, America is a very tense and divided place at the moment. People may well blame Trump for that. And if they blame Trump for that, this might then mean that the advantage of being in power is not an advantage at all. With name recognition in the media, as I said, if the challenger is as well known as the president and can outdo them in the media spotlight, then the seeming advantage that the president has can be mitigated or can be removed. This was demonstrated with Reagan versus Carter. Reagan, as a former actor, had a great deal of name recognition and also was able to outmaneuver Carter in the presidential debates. Biden obviously has very, very strong name recognition, having previously been vice president under Obama. So it's not like Trump's going against an unknown. People will know who Biden is, but again, maybe this mitigates some of the normal advantage of the challenger, that Biden will have the baggage of things that went not so well under Obama, and that can be used against him, just as things that have gone badly in Trump's administration could be used against him. Other problems that are faced then are electoral resources. Well, I've said that normally a president will outspend their opponent. Well, this wasn't the case in '92 when Clinton outspent Bush Sr. and beat him. So a popular challenger will attract financial backing, and an unpopular president will struggle to. It will be interesting to see the totals of Trump and Biden spend, and obviously that in the context of the result. But again, we have this slight difficulty in that Trump has got this fortune of his own that he can fall back on, and so in terms of spending totals, things can be a bit different. The lack of a primary challenge can also cause problems rather than benefits, because the challenger can gain momentum, having seen off the challenges, and they could be already getting lots of media attention, and that might mean you get a challenger who is polished and ready for the fight. They've got the answers to all the criticisms that are going to be thrown at them. Now, Trump was selected back in January 2019, but he has faced some challenges. And when an incumbent does face a challenge, then that often it can be very, very damaging. But the challenges are Bill Weld in April 19 and Rocky de Fuente in May 2019, and Joe Walsh in August 2019, and Mark Sanford in September 2019. Well, none of these actually received any kind of serious support. So it is unlikely that they did any damage to Trump, and I think things like the clashes between Kamala Harris and Biden during the primary season may come back and be something that we use by Trump's campaign as we get towards election day. So are we going to see more of the same? Are we going to see another incumbent win? Well, history certainly would make Trump favourite in November. However, things rarely go as you'd expect them to into typical US politics when it involves Trump. 2020 obviously has been a complete anomaly of a year, and so that might well be one of these ones where we say, oh, well, there was certain circumstances in 2020, so things were different. He also trails in the polls, but then he trailed in the polls last time as well. So I'm going to return to this topic after the election, and we're going to see whether we've got an example that turns the trend on its head, or whether we've got another example which seems to suggest incumbents always win. Right, so make sure that you like the video if this has been helpful to you. Comment on it. What do you think is going to happen in the upcoming election? And if you haven't done so already, then please subscribe. Thank you very much for listening.